I'm just checking out your wife's Klimt. Oh, you too?
Out of class. I have way too much fun putting those together. I'm actually
Dave is so proud of his new intro. He is glowing right now. Welcome. Thank you for listening. This is episode 186 of the one and only IT and the D Show, broadcasting live here in Studio One, Podcast Detroit, in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Bob the Sales Guy, Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG. Find us online, ITinTheD.com. Shout out to Randy and Ian filling up the Twitters. You can follow us on social and subscribe to us anywhere.
Oh, Randy's here. There's video.
I know Randy's here.
I am the pod crasher.
Randy's. I didn't want to tell everybody he was here. Fine. Subscribe to us.
We're thinking they're allowed to just show up.
Fine.
This is like a really bad version of My Fat Greek Wedding.
Podcasts are sold. Can I
go? Sorry.
I know. I'm not reading it. Do us mark your calendars. Tomorrow we got the inaugural. I guess it's the second one, but it's going to be the first one of the regular. The ITinTheD presents the Ann Arbor chapter. It's going to be tomorrow the 7th at Connor O'Neill's up in Ann Arbor. Check us out. We're all going to be there from 5 until question mark. And then on the 16th, the day before St. Patrick's Day, the granddaddy of them all, the Pixel Party at the Majestic. Hiring managers and more hiring managers and recruiters and more recruiters. And a awesome DJ.
Smooth Deep House from the radio job.
Deep House and cans of PBR. And it's all about the job. So
all the good things.
Yeah, free to get in. No crappy speakers or sponsors, and your name will be sold. And up to date, we're up to we think 2,400-ish hired through those events, through just meeting people. And
that's what we get for not taking kickbacks or anything. We just know when people tell us stuff.
I'm fine with that. I am totally fine with that. But at the same token, no one has to bring a resume, and no one's getting postcards to fill out job forms. So we do try to do it the right way, or we try to suck less.
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, we have an awesome guest lineup. Tom Lawrence is in the house from Lawrence Systems. We've got a ton of cool stories. He's also the host of the Sunday Morning Linux Review podcast. We've got an awesome story to talk about with maybe a big vendor in Seattle. Well, maybe if you want to talk about that, we'll talk. I want to talk about that. Also in studio, we got Stefani Manard here, writer, also podcaster extraordinaire, Shot of History, and many other fine podcasts.
Not at the department store, though.
No.
There's no making big money at Menards. No.
Say big
it's
money.
It's spelled different.
I know.
I want to say big money.
At Menards?
Yeah. And then last but not least, Jeremiah's here from, a.k.a. Dr. Hook from DailyDetroit.com. A lot of big news, and we want to talk about what's going on in the city.
I want to be one of the SpaceX people. How do we make that happen?
Like $80 million.
Like that's what it costs.
I think it's $80 million. To 20 million or 80 million.
The positions have been filled.
That's right. We talked about this Saturday. You and Megan are going.
Yeah, we've already said we're doing
From
it.
the way
so
station
it's
Saturday,
done.
they trumped us. They got us by virtue of it.
Yeah, sorry.
I read an article that said that they're probably not going to actually be able to do it in 2018 because basically the amount of time it takes to come up with that equipment. The equipment is currently untested. They've got a really, really strong plan, basically, to get this accomplished next year. So.
But I thought, after all those YouTube videos and everything, why we haven't been back to the moon is because there's creepy stuff on the dark side of the moon. That's why we can't go back. But they're
The
going
Transformers.
Right. Yeah. That was
There's
part
evil
of it.
Transformers.
Right.
Evil
Yeah.
Transformers.
Yeah.
There was like John Glenn videos going like, oh, dude, we're never going back.
Right.
Weird things.
Yeah.
I don't know, Elon Musk has got a lot of really good ideas, and he took that idea earlier this year from somebody tweeted at him to getting it done in a week.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know.
but
We'll see.
tweaking something on your car to getting to the moon is a little
Hang
bit
on.
different delta of,
Hang on.
of yeah.
Are you
he-
sure?
Is he going first? Because like I don't want to be the first.
Oh, he's not going.
I'm
like-
sure it won't be him.
Then I'm not going. If he ain't going, I ain't going. Like, you go on a lap around the moon, Elon, and then I'll get a Kickstarter and I'll pony up and I'll go.
Are we gonna like replay like the '60s when we had like that dog they sent into space and then the monkey, Leica, and then the monkey and everything else, and then the person? Or are we just gonna go straight into humans?
Well, I think the production schedule said that they were going to first do just an equipment test, and then they were going to do an unmanned mission, and then they were going to actually send people. So basically,
Don't send a monkey though. I've seen Planet of the Apes. You know what happens? The Mark Wahlberg one.
Yeah.
Messed up shit happens if you do send a monkey up there. It's the last thing I need.
But
And
basically,
all of a sudden, there's a Wahlburgers in your Greek town.
but basically, you're flying like a beta 0.3. I'm not sure I'd want to do that for $20 million.
Have you seen his tweets about the RUDs? You've heard the RUD tweets, right? The
Uh.
rapid unexpected disassemblies.
Paul
Like-
Rudd?
Yeah, exactly. They're not explosions.
They're not
crashes.
explosions. They're RUDs.
Yeah.
This was a complete success. What do you mean?
Wait. Well, I like his last one before the land rocket was, look, the pieces are bigger. We're learning more. That was literally his tweet. Like, I blew up a $20 million rocket, and there's bigger pieces of it this time.
It's like a half torso and a
Yeah.
leg. It's
Yeah,
so
how does
cool.
he tweet when it blows up a person?
His PR guy in their 70s is gonna write the best book ever with all the things that they came up with for those kind of terms.
Yeah. For all things they wouldn't let Elon Musk say. Because I have a
Right.
feeling he's slightly filtered.
So you know what we found out last week too? One man can take down the internet. So with everybody
Yeah.
thinking the internet was slow and everyone found out it was an AWS problem on their S3, they actually released what happened.
Yep.
Basically what happened at 9:30 in the morning, an authorized team member using an established playbook executed a command, not Order 66 from what we
Yeah,
understand.
no. Execute. He was trying to just standardly take some servers out of rotation.
Right, just remove a couple servers, and he basically entered wrong code,
He typoed.
and then it took them all out.
One command to rule them all,
And then
in the darkness.
internet fell down, go boom.
It's amazing how many sites actually use S3. 148,000 websites, 121,000 domains. And then the best part of this was that the S3 status webpage itself was broken.
It was
Yes.
down.
Because
Because
it
it hosts
itself
on
ran on
S3.
S3, right?
Yes.
I mean, I
His
get
data
it.
slides are so green.
I mean, one of my previous companies had a guy who worked for me who was updating a SQL database. And he did update where this equals this. And his update where was wrong. Basically overwriting every single record in our database. And it took our platform down. It's totally, I get how one person can do it, but we don't think about that. We think about cloud. It's,
Yeah.
it's other people's computers.
Managed.
It's managed.
You know who was really happy that day? EMC guys.
I don't know about that.
Hey, remember when your stuff was all local? You didn't have to worry about somebody else's computer going down. Remember?
Well, not just that. I mean, what about your cloud strategy, right? So if you put all your eggs in an Amazon bucket and Amazon goes down, basically, what do you do? How do you flip the manual switch back to the data center you no longer have?
It's business.
Yeah, what's
it's-
your DR for the cloud?
No,
Yeah.
it's stocks, it's business, it's diversification. Anyone that puts their eggs in one basket in anything, you're asking for it. It's amazing how many people I see, Fortune 100 companies, 50 billion plus companies, have all their stuff in their own basement in a DR site from Iron Mountain. But you think about wait, it's all there. What do you do? No DR, nothing off site. It's I don't know. To me, these days, the cloud. Why do you go to the cloud? Well, it depends on the application, right?
Right.
Which is anything. If you have an application that works better locally, then stay local, right? You don't put it in the cloud just because it's good.
So
Everything.
you didn't have to rewrite it in Java.
No.
You don't have to rewrite it in C#. You don't have to you don't do it just because there's a new tech.
But
out
what
there.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
the egg. I don't want to say the eggs in your face, but if that's your strategy, you put everything there, like then that's what you get.
Yeah, if you don't have redundancy in like an Azure cloud or something like that. But the reality is, even for CTOs, it's hard to sell going, I need redundancy because Amazon had a bad day out of 365. Percentage-wise, some people still would have a hard sell.
It's all about the ROI, right? Like, and then we got to take it through finance and deal with all that stuff. Well, if I'm going to pay double in hosting fees, to double back up this stuff.
Do you want 99.9 or 99.59?
Right. But I know that's
what's that going to cost
you? The people that get stuck in their garage over this because
Yes.
of the IoT devices because everything does this. They couldn't open their garage doors and like, well, I heard every time before like nobody knows how to do anything anymore. So like, oh no, I press the button on my app and it doesn't open the garage. Now what?
No, but here's the thing, Dave.
Yeah, no one knows what that little hanging thing is in their garage.
No,
yeah.
I like AWS. I'm a fan, and it's interesting how their SLAs are 99.95. So you think about the 5 nines. No, 9.5. You know what 9.5 is in terms of minutes a month? 25 minutes a month of downtime. So they
just used them all.
So basically, yeah, you get all of them in one day.
They used them all for the year.
Right. They don't even have to. No, that's a month.
Yeah.
So I don't even think they probably have to write small checks, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme.
Well, GitLab just happened. This happened a month ago now.
Yeah.
GitLab lost 12 hours worth of customer data and things like that without any redundancy because anyone who had all their stuff in GitLab goes, well, there went 12 hours of data we input on there. So this happens. Typos. Whoops. But get better playbooks, update them, put some bounding on the playbook going, you can't type in 11 when you meant 1 or 2,
Yeah.
So then one of our favorite topics, because we are always concerned about the birth of Skynet, is that Microsoft now has an AI that writes its own code.
This is so damn cool.
Is it cool?
You say cool, I say chilling.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, how far does it go?
We don't know
Well,
yet.
they say right now it's limited to like 5 lines of code. So think if you code a logging routine, it's the same logging routine that everybody else has coded since the beginning of time. So basically, this thing can go through all the other code that's ever been written and basically make your code for you based on those what works and what doesn't, which is pretty damn cool. And my first thing is like, well, what happens to coders? What happens to people who write code every day for a living? And Microsoft's like, oh, don't worry about it. We're not taking your jobs. We're just making you work on more complex problems.
Yeah, it's because it can't think. We promise.
We need QA still.
Well, the greatest risk of coders is still if Stack Exchange goes down. I mean, if we can't copy pasta, that would...
Well, half the code of the internet's plagiarized anyways,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Especially the hidden half.
So, Nuri, you shot out a book, basically, but it's an interesting article. I was able to skim it. I did a little too lazy, didn't read, about basically autonomous vehicles and just your absolute end of privacy.
yeah.
And we've been talking about this with IoT. We've been talking about this since your phones have GPS on it. Like, don't you dare track me, and don't you dare take away my Google Maps, right?
Right.
But it's getting to the point now where Nest and Canary knows when I'm home and when I'm not home. How we
Your TV knows everything you watch.
they listen to all the things.
Uh-huh.
Echo's listening to all my things.
Uh-huh.
And now it's getting to where your car, I put an automatic in my car, they know where I'm at, they know how fast I went, they know everything about me. You can't, and then now with autonomous vehicles, it's basically taking it another level.
Basically, the article, the byline was basically everything everywhere is recording information and sending it to the internet. And then autonomous vehicles have these crazy 360-degree high-definition, high-frame rate video. So basically, everywhere they drive, they're going to be capturing all the data around them for, I think they call it telemetry, right?
Yep.
So basically, I know where everything is, speed
Well, it
limit
has
signs,
to.
addresses, things like that.
Because it has to. Otherwise, that's the eyes.
And then drones, and basically there's nothing we're going to be able to do anymore to hide at some point. And it will start in the dense areas like, big cities, New York, Detroit, Chicago, but sooner or later everyone's going to have one of these things. What Elon Musk said by, 2021, that all cars will be autonomous? And just think, you're walking down the street.
Dude, he's a bright guy, but
We also
Yeah,
said
I don't
we're going to
think
send
that's
people to the moon
gonna
next year,
happen.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, they're
Well,
gonna have drive assist. I bet you 2021 there's gonna be driver assist.
Well,
Where-
Elon Musk
theoretically, that's
he
already
thinks
But it
Right.
takes
everyone else
20
is
years to turn a fleet.
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I said Elon Musk promise he thinks everyone else is as smart as him. So he says the 21-1. He doesn't deal with the general populace.
Right.
I do. it's not good.
Well, I mean, driver assist is already there. I mean, you've already got the cars that will parallel park themselves.
Yeah.
You've already got the cars that'll slam on the brakes for you, that sort of thing.
Right.
And there
stay
may,
in the lanes. I
yeah.
mean, that's not. I don't think that's there yet.
No, and there may very well be, some level of autonomous vehicles out there. That's fine, but it's like I've said a million times. The issue you're going to have is when you have logic programming-driven autonomous vehicles on the road with vehicles that are driven by idiot humans. That you're going to have issues.
Right.
The thing that freaks me out there, the headline was ubiquitous video, which basically means everywhere.
Yeah.
So now, the case it gave was, I can tell you what type of clothes everybody wore in a certain area at a certain time frame. So I can predict fashion trends.
EMC guy everywhere going, yay!
But I mean,
More
there's
storage.
I was going to say, that's what I was going to say, is imagine how much storage that's going to take for
My
that video.
God.
But
Well,
I mean,
another-
you've got cities like London, though, that have been doing cameras across
Yeah.
their entire area for many, many years, and many urban areas have centralized cameras now with command centers that have all this stuff.
But that's different.
Already
This is
there.
Those are set up by the cities and by the police departments and that sort of
In
thing.
public
Because
areas.
that's my next question: is who gets to tap into this video?
Right.
That
That was going to be my next
Yeah.
question as well. Like, okay, now does this become ubiquitous law enforcement as well? And what are our rights around these kinds
Hey,
of
let's go
things?
find every car that was in the vicinity of X when Y happened.
And then
yeah.
and then let's haul them
Facial
all in.
recognition.
Well, how do you opt out when every car is doing this, right? Basically, it's like, Nuri, we saw you jogging the other day. We had 20 cars tag you jogging. But you're only jogging at 5 miles an hour, so we don't think you're actually jogging. And you were carrying a cigarette, so we're going to tell your insurance company that you're smoking. And, I mean, just...
Mary, you
Right.
said you're at a business conference. I said,
42 cars saw you in Las Vegas,
Right.
walking out of the pink pony.
Bro, this girl's like a hawker. But one of the can we say asshole of the week? I think the asshole of the week is the University of Cal San Francisco.
Oh yeah, outsourcing all the IT.
Well, now they just didn't outsource IT. 79 people in their IT department.
It's a small IT department for like a large public university.
Sure, sure, but that's a good sized IT department. It depends how many Right, but what happened was it said, okay, here comes a bunch of people you're going to train, and then oh by the way they're all H1Bs, and oh by the way they're your replacement, and oh by the way bye.
And by the way, you have to stay there and train them if you want to get your pension.
Right.
But I'll point out something else. Read about the article and go down to the part where it says, I think it's like 80% of them had a job within a week that paid as much as that. Which I thought was a really interesting thing because the demand for IT people is so high right now, as you guys might kind of know.
Well,
You know?
we've heard it once or twice.
Yeah.
But this is a publicly funded university, so taxpayer dollars are basically going
To overseas.
Overseas.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
I don't agree with it. I'm just saying it is amazing that there's that much demand on IT.
So this is my question, right? So at the Detroit Policy Conference last week, they said there was a 6-to-1 ratio for skills to IT jobs right now. So 6-to-1 ratio for people for IT jobs, right? So there's 6 jobs for every person.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. If that's the case, and you're a university, why don't you train more people to make jobs, to go in these jobs? Like, these things go together. You train people. You're a university.
there's a disconnect with universities, and I will point
Because
out.
they're still teaching Pascal.
Well,
And COBOL?
Well, sometimes it's obsolescence
COBOL
of
punch
teaching,
cards.
and there's a lack of interest. Like I'm going to call out my own stepdaughter a little bit. She does not want to sit in front of a computer, even though she knows how much it pays. She knows how much I make doing IT work, and I'm like, you could have a job even where I work doing this, and it pays this. And she's like, this is what I pay my employees. And she's like, well, I'd rather take this Harry Potter writing class. And I'm like, well, I love creativity and I love art. Don't get me wrong, but you do need to make a living, and I need you to move out of
So
the
this
house.
is where you as a parent need to beat your child.
Well, I was talking
But
about.
she's 21. Is it legal? Well, actually, it is legal. Actually, she's 21. Never mind.
Or give it a few years.
We're
the
taking this
world-
offline.
Give it a few years, and the world will beat that out of her, right? When she realizes how much money she's making and struggling.
Or
she'll-
not making.
See, my
Yeah.
strategy is to sell my house and get a smaller one. That's my you can't move back with me.
Checkmate.
Well, I mean, if you make a decision, you have to own it. Those kind of situations, right? So if you're going to be, it's all about what the market's willing to pay you. I mean, that's just the reality of the world.
You know, I'm really happy, though, real quick about this, is that there's legislation right now in the government to basically limit the dollar amount cutoff for H-1B visas.
Doubling it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
from like $67,000 to $125,000
I
a
thought
year.
it was 130.
So it's something
It's
like
way
that,
up there,
It's
yeah.
a very good wage, which I think is going to seriously curb the amount of H-1B visas that we have in the country if that goes through.
Well, that was what, God, we talked about this a year ago. I mean, there was, at one point in time, Snyder was asking them to basically relax the restrictions in the state of Michigan to give us
I think that was 2 years
the
ago.
entire pool. Like, there were like 55,000 visas available nationwide, and Snyder wanted all the things.
Yes.
Like he wanted all 55,000 here.
And that's how we got the Secretary of State website.
Oh, wah, wah.
You guys ever use this shit? Anyway,
HP did it.
case in point.
Yeah, I was there when it happened. So, are we going to start taking side bets on when Uber goes away?
Uber's
Because-
awful.
Because there's things coming out almost weekly now that are just damning. This latest one is
They're never gonna go away.
Uber Grayball.
People want to drink and not drive, and until the
Yeah.
go home car I'm drunk is there.
Or they're
And
gonna
Uber
use
has
it-
the mind share.
That is the next idea. Go home on trunk. That's like the name of the company.
Go home, I'm drunk.
I like it.
I'm going to register that right now.
No, for those
Or
that
for
don't know what,
GHID.com.
Yeah.
for those that don't know what the Uber Grayball program was, it was basically short for a violation of terms and service. To basically root out people they thought were targeting its service improperly.
Yeah.
Which,
Well, no, so they would go find people that were either working for city government or law enforcement and would effectively block those people from being able to summon Ubers.
They'd get an app. They'd put
Yeah.
the app on the phone. They'd see fake cars driving around. And
Yep.
if for some strange reason a real one got there, the GM of the market would call the driver and say, cancel this ride right now.
Yep.
Even shadier, they would go into cell phone stores in these communities that block Uber, look at the cheapest model of burner phone and block those devices because government budgets, they would buy the cheap phones to use for this program.
And we're all grayballed.
Which actually would have the secondary effect
It's
of
better than us all
denying
being Uber.
actual poor people. Which, you know, that's another theme that came through is that there's a lot of people who feel like ride sharing, whether it's Uber, Lyft, whatever, just is like designed for them never to use, even though there's a huge need in a lot of communities for it.
so there was some, I mean, going real quick, we're coming down to the bottom of the hour, but some bad news came out. You know, there's some jobs coming back in the market, there's some jobs leaving. Just found out GM is getting rid of 1,100 jobs in the great state of Michigan, which we're not real happy about. But what I want to do is call out, if you know any of these people, if you know that they're up for a possible career change, Dave and Nuri are launching the ITinTheD Career Academy. It's going to be through the Michigan Economic Development Corp, Goodwill, the Chamber of Commerce. We're starting in Flint, and we're basically, they got some grant money, and we're going to be retraining people to get in the wonderful world of information technology.
So all the times you've heard us talk about the path, or Bob's brother-in-law Chet. I mean, we've had this talk more than once. You know, it's a blog entry on our site about. We do. I mean, it started happening about two and a half years ago, where we started seeing more and more people coming to our events saying, "How do I get into IT?" You know, or "Hey, I just went through one of these coding classes. Now what?"
And I don't want to spend 15 grand on a boot camp.
Right,
What do I do?
with companies that aren't downtown anymore. Yeah. So we did. I mean, we wrote a blog post and we said, hey, this is the path. This is what you do and how you go, and this is how you go through it, and what the scoop is. And we started talking to MEDC about this a good 14 months ago.
At least.
And it's finally coming to fruition. Which
They
is
got
good.
their Pearson VUE certification.
Yep.
They got the grant money.
Well, because we've always, we've had ITinTheD, the Career Academy link out on ITinTheD, where for $29 a year, you could go get access to, at the time I believe it was 1,100 classes.
Still.
That's I thought it was up to 1,400 now.
You could be right.
Yeah, so it was $29 a year, all you could eat. It was all the training materials. You still have to go out and get the certs and that kind of stuff. So what's tweaked with this is that, well, now they've amped it up a bit, so there are 1,400 classes. You can even get an associate's degree through this thing because they do partner with an accredited university. And you can get a career change, and it's not just, this grant and these classes aren't just covering getting you through the training materials, it's actually getting those certs for you as well.
And then not through that, we're partnering with Mishworks to get them placed. And if that doesn't work, we're partnering with all the recruiting companies we deal with here.
Yeah, because we do know several recruiting companies that do a lot of help desk staffing and that sort of thing, and that's where that first step is after you get those first 3 certs. So it's been a long time coming, and we're really, really geeked about it. I mean, this is one thing that we're really dedicated and always have been about trying to make shit suck less out here. In the area. I mean, we started the first pink slip party was back in 2009 because we had so many job seekers that were saying, dude, we can't get FaceTime with recruiters, we can't get emails, we can't get phone calls back, any of that stuff. So we flex and we expand and do what we do when we get pulled into stuff. And this is an area that we pushed a little bit. I mean, we started pushing 14 months ago to get it up and get it going. But MEDC finally, saw the need, agreed with the need, and so now we're getting pulled into it, and we're getting pulled into it hard. So yeah, it's going to be a good thing.
And if you have any friends that don't want to take those classes, you can always send them a fart in a jar.
That's right. If they're determined, if they're bound and determined to be that last buggy whip manufacturer, you can send them a jart.
I sat and it's a jar fart, which I sat and pondered because it start. When did this whole thing start? Like there was the
Glitter bomb,
glitter bombs, the
glitter
bag of
as a
dicks.
service, the
Bag
bag of
of
gummy dicks,
Glitter as a service.
glitter as a service. That's how we build it.
Isn't it the huge dick sign, the little message you can put
that
out?
was the one
yeah,
we
you
saw
can write
last week.
Shipadick.com.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Shipadick.
Yeah,
There was the giant chocolate wieners. So you could
yeah.
eat a dick.
There was poop.
There was
Like
you could send
elephant
Zudu.
poop.
You could send elephant shit to people. And now the latest is jart.
So not only can you pick your flavor, but you can put a friendly note inside this wonderful jar that they open and.
Yeah, so there's a sealed note in the jar. So all they know is that this mason jar looking thing shows up with what appears to be a very nicely
The joy
written
of when
letter.
they open it.
And then they open it.
I want to start dropping them in Lake St. Clair, just like hundreds
There's
of them.
enough
Barton
bad
bottle?
things being done.
Right, I was going to say, nobody needs that.
I think that was one of the other stories that came out this week was that they found the illegal sewer hookup that was dumping 200,000 gallons a year
No wonder
of
I
raw
can't
sewage.
swim at
Yeah.
Metro Beach.
That explains a few things.
Hey, we're at the bottom.